welcome to Garbage Theater Season 3. I'm your host Chase with my co-hosts Blake and John.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We gotta get some air horns or something. Season 3.
Let's get this shit show on the road. So, starting off Season 3 with a callback to Time Barbarians.
Yeah, started off with a stinker.
This movie was a massive disappointment.
Boy, howdy.
This was nothing like what I thought it was going to be. The budget for this must have been in the negative. Someone owed somebody money, and that's why this movie got made.
This was almost exactly what I expected.
It was the Seinfeld of movies. It was a movie about nothing.
Yeah.
Like, nothing happened.
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
The only thing that happened is it took up 90 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
Oh, it sure did.
Well,
You'd think like a movie that ripped off Terminator, Ninja Turtles, Conan, and Highlander would have like some shit going on, but
it didn't.
And let's not forget Beastmaster 2. Oh, God. All right, so let's get into it. It starts off and just spares no expense for the intro. The music, the credits, it all looks and sounds like the opening to an old DOS point and click adventure game. It's Conan for the Commodore 64.
Yeah.
And they that one song plays over and over throughout the whole movie. It's the only thing they had. This MIDI file.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's like sort of some kind of Renaissance type music, I guess, with like drum rolls and stuff, but all on synths.
Yeah, done on an old Casio.
And maybe I shouldn't hold it to the same standard of Lord of the Rings, but nobody had the language down at all. Like, people had accents at some point.
Sometimes they had accents. Sometimes they spoke Middle English.
Yeah.
Sometimes not.
These and thous and...
Yeah, and then that went away real quick.
Yeah, I got tired of that.
So I'm sitting there wondering, who's the linguist on this thing? But then, this isn't The Hobbit.
And like whatever the credits were rolling over, it was like crazy washed out footage of people fighting or something.
What I'm certain is not from this movie.
No.
That's B-reel from some other movie that they just kind of threw in there with a
you
weird
really had
filter.
to look for it too. It was just like abstract. It was too zoomed in to be anything perceivable.
Yeah,
I don't know why they made this choice.
It was leftover Robo-War footage.
Yeah.
Seriously, it was so hard to distinguish what was going on. It felt like the beginning of Robo-War.
Yeah.
Well, it opens up with a little paragraph to set the mood. And it says, in an ancient time of swords and sorcery lived a remote tribe of barbarian warriors who battled the forces of evil. These barbarians were protected by the power of a crystal amulet, and this is the story of their king. Movie over.
And what it should have said, in an ancient time of hairspray, highlights, and massive amounts of fog. Because anytime they were in the past, it was fog everywhere. And everybody had like the big hairsprayed out hair with highlights. And it's like, barbarians didn't have time to primp like that.
It's a side effect of the fog. It feathers it out.
Maybe that's what it was.
It's the humidity, man.
Little known fact, Vidal Sassoon translates to fog.
So
Vidal the Barbarian.
It'd be better than Doran. Jesus Christ.
wears his crown on a vapid brow.
Oh my god. Malibu looks like a Muppet. You know that like really masculine lady Muppet? Who's like in the band? One that's in the band or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Teeth? Yeah. That's Doran.
Oh, my God.
Just picture her, and that's our hero of the movie. Oh, God. All right, so it opens up. We see Doran, Malibu, comes strolling out of the woods, immediately contracts dysentery from the river by drinking from it.
Yeah.
He gets attacked by some random barbarian bad guy who Doran promptly disarms. Leave this land, dude, and like never return. He could not hide that surfer accent that he has.
And a side note, like I realized at this point that I don't know if this was meant to be the way they shot or they did the sound in this movie, but voices only came through out of the left channel. So I just had one headphone in, and when he talked, I was like, "What? Did he say something?" And I had to and finally I put in the other headphone. I was like, "Oh, it's only coming in the left channel." Luckily, but then hold on, it gets better. When they go to the future, it only comes through the right channel. So I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but I was like, "Whoa, this is getting deep now."
Do they? God. See, I watched the first half of the movie on my phone with my headphones, and I only had the left headphone in, and I watched the second half on the TV at home, so I didn't notice the swap. But
if they did that on purpose, I'll give them some points, but I don't know.
Well, that seems like a terrible choice.
A point
Even if it was conscious, it was a bad idea.
It's a bad decision.
What if when we go to the future, we flip the whole screen horizontally?
No, see, it's on theme, right? Because it's like it's movement through time,
yeah,
from left to right.
What if in the future everything's negative?
What if in the future we replace Doran with a Muppet? Which would have made this movie so much better.
It was all Muppets. Yeah.
Sorry.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, so Doran banishes this barbarian from the woods. He demasks him for a reason that's going to come later, and he spares his life, and he sends him running. Meanwhile, Listeria, a.k.a. Twinkle Tits, comes out of the foggy forest in her chainmail brassiere that female barbarians wear.
Right.
And Malibu, Doran, decides he's going to put on the bad guy's mask and creep up on her. So already our king is making some poor character choices here.
Yeah,
let's not go down this road, Doran. So she starts calling out to Doran. And so this is clearly some kind of, practical joke by their forest king that's taking a very long time to just get on with it. He follows
this shit
her.
was like 5 minutes long of this.
It just keeps going.
This whole movie is him taking a very long time to get on with it.
So he's following her around, and she hears, cracking in the woods, and show yourself and do battle. The dialogue.
Do battle.
Show yourself and do battle. I'm sure this is exactly how they talked back then. Come on, man. Stop being lame and do battle.
Hiding in the woods is bogus, man. Just come out here and do battle.
So Doran jumps out and attacks her, cackling like an idiot. And I don't know how she doesn't recognize him. All he has is this little mask on. It's like if Superman put on his Clark Kent glasses but left the Superman costume on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Lois was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Clark?"
So this prank goes on a little too far as Doran disarms her and pins her down to the ground. And then it's revealed, oh, it's Doran. Oh, you kid, you.
Oh, just a practical joke where you were terrified for your life. No big.
Just want to make you worry about being raped by some stranger in the woods. Yeah. Spoiler alert.
She's what? Oh, God. I'm about to say she's wondering why her crotch crystal didn't protect her too.
Why was the amulet a codpiece?
I don't know.
We'll get to that.
No, almost nothing about the amulet makes any sense.
No, it doesn't. Especially its location.
Yeah.
You gotta keep it next to all the rest of the important shit.
It's gotta stay warm.
So this is where they proclaim their love to each other, and I too love thee. It's like, oh, are they going to be saying thee and thous throughout this whole thing? Luckily not. They give up on that pretty quick. So then, they do it in the woods barbarian style. So we talk about
did you guys notice this one part where like they're fighting and he disarms her, like flinging her sword away, and then it's like 6 shots later the sword lands. It's just like it's like flying through the woods forever.
Well, when Doran does it, I mean, shit.
He's the woodland king. So we cut to a little later, and Listerine here is worried about the evil that's spreading everywhere from every tree and stream. And so that's when Doran takes out the magical amulet, a.k.a. giant codpiece, to protect her. And she's holding it, oh, power and strength fill me. And Listeria, what did he say? I have it right here. Doran starts talking about the wizard that warned them about the power of the amulet. Like, Listeria, like, the wizard totally warned us about this, man. Don't take wizards in jest, man, okay? That's like mondo bogus. And
wizards.
It was like watching some like California surfer high school students try to do Shakespeare in the Park.
I think that's what it was.
With them stumbling through the prose of all of this.
It's exactly like that. Every bit of it.
Yeah, so that's when Doran reveals that the wizard's actually a babe, man. And she only shows herself to whom she chooses. You're like, not even heinous enough, Listerine. Don't even go there.
I wanted to turn it off when I found out that the wizard was a woman, though. I was like, all right, this shit's going too far now.
So Doran explains that old Grandpappy Barbarian was saved by the wizard, and so
who happened to be a Nazi.
And so she vowed to protect him with the amulet, and Doran. The amulet was then bequeathed to me, man. So Doran vows to use the amulet to teach his people truth, justice, and the American way, or some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
They put a lot of emphasis on the magical protective powers of this amulet. This amulet protects absolutely no one through this movie. Like, bad shit is about to befall these people. He warns her to dream not of far-off lands, because the amulet will do some serious shit or something, and it can send you around, and that's how we're going to get to L.A., I guess.
But not really.
Not the rules of this amulet. So they return to his quote unquote village. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, he's the king of this?
Yeah.
It's like 2.5 huts and maybe 5 people.
Did you see a hut? I don't recall a hut.
There was a hut. Yeah, there was one.
Yeah, there's a hut, and then they're building a second hut. That's it.
See, his kingdom's growing, baby.
And all I could think is, see, this is why communism doesn't work.
Yeah, they're just like everyone's just sitting around on stumps.
Yeah,
you know, their entire economy seems to be based around polishing swords.
Yeah, it's a campsite at best.
Yeah.
So, as Doran's approaching, some grubby-looking guy is following him and imitating a bird in the best bird impersonation I've ever heard. Hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo!
And Doran's like, hark! Oh shit, is that a bird?
So this guy starts flailing his swords around, and some woman comes running up to him and jumps up into his arms and tries to kiss him, and he flings her aside because he cares more for the company of Doran.
Yeah.
His hunting partner. So it then cuts to that night, and Doran is sitting on his throne, which is just out in the open.
Yeah.
I know we should be building huts and all, but can we make me a big ass chair, please?
Yeah. So he's sitting there, and this new barbarian, whose name is Bartaga, we come to find out, is a bit of a wino. And he comes up and he's telling me, I'd like to join you on the hunt. And the woman that attacked him from earlier comes back up to him, and she's trying to get with him, and he reluctantly kind of kisses her and walks away. He's got nothing to do with this woman. She's far too plain and homely for me.
The only brunette in the movie, by the way.
That's when John put on his "I'm with Bartaga" shirt.
I didn't think that was going to carry over to season 3, but why the hell not?
Of course it was.
So then it goes to the next day, and Doran and Bartaga are getting very handsy with each other while they're walking through the woods, talking about tongues and boars and whatnot.
We'll just call it grab-assing.
Yeah. And some dirty guy, another dirty barbarian, comes scrambling out of the woods, and he stumbles upon the women of Doran's court in a stream, and he spots the amulet just kind of laying out in the open, really taking care of this precious thing that's keeping you all alive.
I can't believe she just left it out there. After Doran told her the whole story about his granddaddy and the wizard.
Yeah.
She's like, "Fuck this amulet! I'm gonna get wet."
It's not your fault, Listerine.
Is a female wizard still a wizard?
Yeah, well, wizard's a wizard.
Like, because I know there's like a witch and a warlock.
Yeah, well, if you go by Harry Potter terms, it's wizard and witch. That's the two. So
okay, so we're not going to go by that.
No, not in this. We're going by Time Barbarian rules.
Got it.
Yeah,
Wizard's a wizard.
This has its own lore.
Yeah,
done.
Deep lore. But yeah, she just leaves the amulet out. So Doran's. I didn't stress how important it was. You don't know what my grandfather had to go through to keep that safe. He wore this uncomfortable hunk of gem in his ass. The guy that spied on him returns to Mandrak, who's the villain of the film. You could tell because he looks like Steven Seagal.
I had to look him up because I seriously thought that he was one of the other gladiators. I forget his name. Mm-hmm. Nitro, maybe? I don't know. Like, I was like, is that another gladiator? But it wasn't. It's just some douche.
I didn't think there could be multiple gladiators in this.
I thought it was, but it wasn't.
So he goes back. He tells Mandrak of the great treasure. The Mandrak looks like the only treasure he needs is a decent pair of pants.
He's got everything else. Long sleeve shirt, no pants.
So his lackeys are worried about returning because Doran banished them from the land. And Mandrak says, don't worry about that because soon we'll all be rich. Back at the stream, Listerine's just staring off into space, not protecting her gem, while the other women of the court just need an excuse to get their tits out. So that's what happens.
And that's what they do, yes.
Gotta get them titties out, ladies.
Mandrak and his cronies
There's
arrive.
no other reason to watch this movie.
So Mandrak and his cronies arrive. Listerine listens to the woman who is scorned by Bartaga and how he doesn't think that she's worthy of him. And then they have a splash fight. Because, tits are out. Why not have a splash fight?
I'm about to say, once they come out, you got to start throwing water at each other. I mean, that's kind of the way it goes. So, at least every stream bathing party I've been to, that's usually what happens.
So Mandrak and his goons attack, and they're quickly bested by unarmed, half-naked women. Listerine and the other woman get swords eventually, but at first they just kind of slapped them away, and it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we find out through the course of the movie that Mandrak ain't shit. I don't even know how how did he even end up the big bad of this movie? He's just some piece of shit.
Yeah, he's some guy.
He doesn't have any powers. He's not good at fighting.
Yeah. The crazy barbarians that we're about to meet are far more of a threat than Mandrak is.
Oh, definitely.
So while they're doing battle, Listerine manages to chop off Mandrak's arm. And then,
I didn't even see this.
No, I had to go back and make a new note of this because she chops at him, and then later there's an arm. Yeah. So I had to go back into my notes and make a note. Oh, okay, he got his arm cut off, but it does not show that. Instead
of actually showing anything, all they do is add this squishy sound effect.
Yeah. The slicing.
It's always just sound. A squish, and you assume someone's dead or lost an arm.
Yeah. Right.
So he gets his arm cut off and kills the other woman, Bartaga's lady. Listerine gets knocked out, and Doran feels it from across the forest. Because why not? Does this come back in any way? Hell no, it doesn't. Does he feel the raping that's about to happen? Hell no, he doesn't. Why did this even happen?
But okay, he's a barbarian. He's Doran, for Christ's sake. And people hit this dude throughout the whole movie, and it has zero effect on him. But this blow to the back of the head took him down for way too long.
Yeah, he was.
But
he was
the rest
writhing
of the movie,
on the ground.
People punch him and hit him, and he just stands there.
Well, this is Mandrak. This is a Mandrak backhand.
I guess.
Bartaga just wants to get Doran drunk to cure his ails, but Doran knows that evil's afoot and insists they go back. So back at the camp, Mandrak has Listerine tied up between two trees, and he's questioning her of the whereabouts of Doran. He gives her a slap, and her top immediately flies off.
That was pretty funny.
I don't know if that was planned or not, but it happened. So he then proceeds to quote-unquote rape her? I guess that's what that was supposed to be?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but they kind of left it to your imagination.
He just kind of hugs her enthusiastically.
Yeah. It was
visually that's what it looked like.
A pulsating hug.
Yeah. So we go from that, we cut to later, And she's passed out, still tied to the tree. Mandrak comes back up to her, and he starts rubbing his dagger all over her face for reasons. And she spits in his face. And so he stabs her repeatedly and kills her. I'm glad that we cut to show a passage of time, because that couldn't have just happened all in the same scene.
No.
And his goons are shocked by this. Shocked that he killed Listerine.
Well, yeah, because Doran's going to find out.
Yeah, Doran's not going to be happy. So one of the goons pries the jewel from the codpiece and gives it to Mandrak. And the amulet apparently lets him absorb Listerine's soul or something? Because he says that he feels her spirit pass through him.
Yeah, but it's never explained what happens.
Nope. No.
Nope. But then you come to find out that nothing happened.
Yeah.
Because the thing doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Well, it works. It's going to work here for a second because Mandrak has to have one of his lackeys explain the powers of the amulet. And he says that, it protects Doran and his people. Not really, because they're getting killed and raped left and right.
Exactly.
But be patient, because it will bring them a bounty of gold coins. So claims this unwashed heathen in the woods.
And it never did that either, spoiler alert.
Mandrak says that all he wants is salvation and holds up the gem, and they both get struck by lightning and disappear. So that's what it does, apparently.
And if you think this is where the movie takes a hard right and goes to Los Angeles immediately, nah, you still got about 45 minutes left before that happens.
Yeah. Because Doran and Bartaga arrive to find Listerine dead, and Bartaga finds his lady, Presol is her name. They only say it once. Mm-hmm. And she's still barely alive, and tells them that it was Mandrak, and she has his arm that she cleaved off as a prize. And they didn't have a funeral for Listerine, where
this was like one of the only times that I laughed out loud in this movie. It was like two times. This was one of them, when she she says she's dying, and she's like, "Behold, my prize of battle," and holds up this arm. Just like pulls it into frame. Oh my god, that was funny.
So they have a funeral for Listerine, where he just burns her on a big pile of crap left over from when they built his throne. And there's like swords everywhere. Like John said earlier, their economy's based on polishing other people's swords.
Yeah.
So there's just swords all over the place in this scene. And Doran swears revenge. Cut to the next day. Doran hate wine. Doran and Bartaga are walking through the woods, and Bartaga's drinking, and Doran really hassles him about it.
Yeah.
And tells him that, you need to keep your head clear, because we're going to go see the wizard and explain how we lost the amulet, and it's going to be a shitstorm. So Bartaga's worried that the wizard's going to do something to Doran, and who will he hunt with then? Pray tell.
Yeah.
They're being followed.
Very, I forget what the other guy's name is, but Gaston from Beauty and the Beast and his little lackey. That dynamic was definitely going on right there.
I
felt.
Shit, what's his name? I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that, if you want a good analogy of what that was,
Bartaga's in love with Doran.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's man love there.
Mm-hmm.
So as they're stomping through the woods, they're followed by a masked figure, and a squawking of birds starts to envelop them from everywhere. And it turns out these birds are weirdo guys with face paint that come jumping out of the trees. They can imitate birds way better than Bartaga can.
Yep.
So they all attack in spectacular fashion. The choreography is something to behold. Is the only way I can say it.
They basically made it up on screen.
Yeah. What choreography is what it's called.
I had better sword fights whenever I was like in grade school, and you and your friends play with broomsticks and try to act like they're lightsabers.
Yeah,
way better than what they showed on screen here.
Yeah.
The cardboard tube from when the wrapping paper's used up.
Yeah.
So in the middle of this fight, they needed a reason for Doran to punch some woman in the face. So some woman randomly runs in and he just decks her.
I didn't notice that.
So then the guy that Doran spared from the beginning is leading this little crew, and Bartaga battles him because Doran gets knocked down, and he winds up killing Bartaga and smushes him good with a spear, and then the goons drag Doran away into the woods.
Doran's not very good at this.
No.
Like, he had trouble with this dude in the beginning. He had trouble with this guy. And then he gets, like, wrecked right here. And his boy Bartaga has to do all the heavy lifting. He kills a ton of guys by himself.
Yeah.
While Doran's like, ow, my head or whatever.
Doran's reign is not long.
No.
At all. So that night, the Weirdo Squad march Doran down a path of skulls to their lair, and the leader of the group starts antagonizing Doran, and he says that Moltar will be pleased by Doran's death. And Moltar is in this little steaming pit in the ground that they worship, apparently. So they tie him to a tree, contemplate this on the Tree of Woe, and...
Hold on. I may be dead wrong on this, but isn't Moltar a character on Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah. And he's also a lava monster. So
okay. Yeah.
And
all right. Just making sure.
They're throwing people into a smoldering lava hole. Yeah.
Got it.
That was not lost on me.
Okay.
So while he's tied to the tree, some prisoner that they also have recognizes him as Doran and warns him of the danger he's in. And just like that, he's whisked away by the crazies, headbutted, and thrown into a smoldering hole in the ground. So much for that character. I thought he was going to like help free him and like be like his buddy along his adventure. Nope.
No.
So sacrifice him to Moltar. Then the evil barbarian that Doran spared earlier tells him that he'll be the one to sacrifice him. And later, Doran's like kind of snoozing on the tree waiting to be sacrificed.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can we back up? Whenever the guy's telling him that he's going to be the one to sacrifice him, he tells him that he's going to be sacrificed, and he says, and I'm the one that's going to have the honor. And I kept waiting for him to finish that sentence, but he didn't. It was just, I'll be the one that has the honor. And I was like, to kill you? To drop you in the fire? Like, what? That bothered me.
It's whatever you want it to be. You fill in the blank.
It was just, it was like a Mad Lib book.
Yeah. So a little bit later, a wolf appears and manifests into the wizard.
Hold on, there was a wolf?
Yeah. A wolf comes running into the camp, and then it turns into the wizard.
I guess in the long tradition of this show, I must have fell asleep at that part. I remember the wizard, but I don't remember a wolf.
So she tells Doran to not worry because the bad guys can't see her, and she's very angry that he lost the amulet. The amulet was there to protect lifetimes of people, and Doran, you have broken that chain. His grandfather was the first one to have it. So literally 2 generations.
Yeah, and the thing didn't work anyway. I wouldn't be in this situation if your Brock would have done what it was supposed to.
Well, she wasn't wearing it over her groin like she was supposed to be.
Look, that coochie rock didn't do shit.
You try getting raped when you've got a 3-pound geode between your legs.
Ay.
Did anyone else there was something about this wizard that made me think that this was about to turn into a porno?
Oh, you mean the fact that she was pretty much naked?
Well, yeah, she had just like a sheer white sheet, and she had like crimped hair or something.
I was just about to say she had 80s porn hair. Yeah,
100%. And the acting was like right on par with the porno. I was like, it could have happened. It could have happened.
All of a sudden, Doran says, "You ladies order this pizza."
Anybody order an amulet?
So the wizard tasks him with returning the amulet to her, or she will curse his people with a plague. And she tells him that Mandrak has traveled to the future. That's when I said, oh yeah, that's right. We still have to go to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So
she said a land called the future. Nobody in LA said, here we are in the future.
Yeah. And if that's the case, first thing he asked when he gets there is, what is this land? They already told you it's the future. What you asking questions for, asshole?
Dumbass. How'd you get to be the king anyway?
Well, I was the biggest one of the 6 of us, so. King.
Yeah.
So she provides him with a magic sword that will take him to the future. Isn't that convenient? The rock didn't work, but the sword will.
Yeah, what the fuck?
So
it's supposed to be a rock, but now it's the sword.
There's also a delayed reaction on that sword too, because she makes the sword manifest and says, when you grab the sword, you'll be transported into the future. Well, he grabs it. Nothing happens. He's got to kill a few folk first.
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed in that because I thought it was going to be an instant type of thing.
Yeah. That sword needed like a reboot or something. It was like,
I guess,
moving slow.
Had to charge up. Yeah, she frees him from his ties and disappears. He draws the sword. The goons attack him. He kills them all with the sword, but then he insists on killing the last one with his bare hands, and he discards the sword.
Yeah, for anybody to come across and grab now.
You lost the amulet. You lost the sword. Come on.
The wizard should have showed back up and be like, what the fuck, dude?
I'd have loved it if Mandrak just like pops his hand through a rift in time and grabs the sword too.
Yeah. Yoink!
Got your sword too.
So he kills the last guy, he snaps his neck, picks up the sword, and vanishes in a flash of light. Cut to present day Los Angeles. Present day as in 1990.
Into this movie.
Yeah.
This is an hour.
Yeah.
Before we became Time Barbarians.
Yes. This should have happened 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To justify that title.
Yeah. So we're now in Los Angeles with Penny Price and her cameraman Bryce. She's a reporter and she's Listerine.
Which I'm glad to hear you caught that, because the last time in the movie when a chick changed her hairstyle, it was like, oh, that's a totally different woman.
Well, no. Well, you see, when it is a totally different woman, that's what happens. When it's the exact same woman, yeah, you can catch that. When it's two different human beings, it's different.
It wasn't two different human beings in Ginger Dead Man. It was the same woman.
Anyway. She's reporting on a shooting by a street gang called the Gladiators, who I'm not convinced we ever really see.
Because we see the people that showed up.
We see them, but there's nothing gladiator about them.
No,
and it's only like 2 or 3 of them. They killed the manager of this warehouse, and the gang, like there's some gang members looking on from the shadows. They attack her and Bryce. And Bryce uses his delicate camera to bash the thugs over the back with. Mm-hmm. They drag her behind the warehouse, and I say, "Oh God, she's gonna get raped again." Bryce then decides he's gonna film the raping because she told him, "Don't cut that camera off for any reason." You know, especially if I'm being raped in the open. Then Doran appears, He tells them to set her free. They square up on him, punch him. Nothing happens. He launches one into a dumpster. They attack him. They stand no chance. They all pull out their switchblades, and Doran tells them that their swords match their manhood, and the magic sword appears in his hands.
Okay, so he shows up without the sword.
Yeah,
and I'm
no
like,
sword.
What the fuck? Where'd it go? Like, would you lose it in the time?
It's a one-charge deal.
And then he reaches behind him, and it appears in his hands like it exists in some alternate dimension on his back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's not going to carry around that.
Not explained at all.
Yeah, he's not going to carry around that sword all the time. That would be silly.
Yeah, no, it would be silly. You're right.
Did it bother anybody else that one of the little gang members was basically Curly from the Three Stooges, just in present time?
Yeah, that was Swank.
Oh, that was his name?
Yeah. Doran threatens him with the magic sword, and Swank tells him that he sucks, and he runs off.
Yeah. So, and when he runs away, he goes, whoa!
Yeah. He's laying down on his side on the ground, and he runs around in a circle and just kind of helicopters away. So, Doran then goes to inspect a chain link fence for a couple of hours, while Penny has gone into the news van and changed into a different outfit so she can be flashy for Doran, I guess.
Oh, you still caught up that was still the same person, did you? Because as soon as she came out that van, I said, Chase is going to be fucking lost. He ain't going to know what the hell happened.
Well, yeah, I was like, where'd all her shoulder pads go? Who is this lady?
Why is there another reporter in the van?
Anyway, Bryce thinks Doran is an escaped convict and he might be dangerous. So Penny sends Bryce back to the station. She follows Doran down the alley and begins questioning him about his search for Mandrak. And Penny thinks that, well, you must be from some Nordic country here to bring a criminal back, aren't you? What?
That's very specific.
Yeah.
So she tells him, well, welcome to L.A., Doran. Back at the news station, their boss, Cogs, is reviewing the tape of her being accosted by the thugs. And Doran shows up, and Cogs is telling Bryce, let's get this story up. Let me know when it's finished. They do a lot of really fast cuts back to the news station, and Bryce, editing to, fill in time. So I'm just going to skip all of that crap.
I do want to talk about, what is the footage that what are we supposed to be seeing in this footage? What is the story?
The story is they were where they shouldn't have been. They're where they shouldn't have been. The reporter almost gets raped. A barbarian appears out of thin air and walks away. And that's the story.
But that's not even what the footage shows. Oh, man.
So we cut to Penny's apartment, and it's as 90s an apartment as it can get. It's all black, white, and red furniture, complete with a random red neon stripe on the wall to really sell that this is the 90s. Doran comes in, and she's dressed him in local attire, acid wash jeans, a pink t-shirt, and a gray denim jacket. Now, why they skipped the scene of her shopping with him, I don't know. Because that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah. That's
the scene. Did these people not watch Son-in-Law?
No, it was to have more time to show them titties.
They've never seen a fish out of water movie in their lives, apparently, because them going to get clothes is where all the gold's at.
Yeah. Skipped it all.
That's why they shouldn't have taken so long to get to the future, because there's all this stuff that they could be doing.
There's no time now.
God damn it.
This
movie is there's no fun. There's no fun in this movie at all.
No. The most fish out of water thing they did was when he was staring at the fence, not understanding what it was.
Yeah, he's like, what is this strange metal vine? He didn't even say any stupid shit like that.
No, he just stared at the fence. So Penny puts on some music and dances with Doran for a little while. He tells her the story that Mandrak killed his wife, his queen, and he's got to get this amulet back or his people will be cursed. And she offers to help him.
Did he tell her that on screen? Because I know there was at least one shot where you just see him sort of gesticulating, and you assume he's telling the story, but
he says it about that fast. He says, "Mandrak killed Listeria, my queen, and I have to get the amulet back, or my people will be cursed." And that's it. It's that fast. Okay. And then Penny says, "Oh, I'll help you track him down." And so we then cut to some poor bastard getting beaten in the street by Mandrak and his thug. And they're all dressed in modern day clothes too. Mandrak looking very Seagal-ish now.
Oh yeah.
He's already developed a smoking habit.
Yeah. They've been there for what, a day?
Yeah, they've been in the future for a few hours and
completely adjusted to it.
Black turtleneck and a smoking habit.
Yeah. Because we're not going to have any fun with them either. They're just going to be set. Nope, we can live here. It's fine. So we cut back to Bryce calling up Penny, and she asks him to look up Mandrak on the computer, because that's going to work.
Yeah, Mandrak and no left hand is what she tells him to look up.
Mandrak missing an arm. That'll narrow it down. So it's revealed that Bryce has a little thing for Penny because he's got this creepy Polaroid of her that he wrote "Sweetie Pie" on it in red ink. So that's a little creepy.
Yep.
Back at the apartment, Penny's interviewing Doran about his background. Cut back to Bryce again, cutting together the story, gives it to Cogs, tells him to run it tonight. Then we cut to the bar, and you know it's a bar because it says bar out front, and that's it.
This is the most dimly lit set I've ever seen on film. You can't see anything that's happening in here.
This was darker than the exterior scenes in Elves. Mandrak and his goon, Wolf is his name, show up
No.
Or was it Jackal?
No. Yeah, so it was Jackal.
It's one of those two.
That's not his name in the credits, though. Because I couldn't find the name. I couldn't find the name Jackal in the credits. I have no idea what this guy's name is.
I thought it was Wolf and Jackal.
It was Wolf and Jackal. And
he calls him Wolf and Jackal, and you find a guy named Wolf in the credits, but there's no guy named Jackal.
Well, shit, I don't know who this guy is then. Let's call him Batman because he's got a Batman baseball cap on.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they called him Jackal that one time, and I wrote it down too as his name, but yeah, I was just like, whatever.
So, Mandrak and Goon arrive, and they order a drink with the last of their money, and the amulet hasn't brought them any fortune at all. So, shit. Mandrak really is just failing left and right.
I kind of love this, though. Like, in any other movie, he would have gone to the future and be like, you know, have a fresh
crime
gang
boss
of guys
or something.
Yeah, he'd be making it happen. He'd be successful.
He'd be like Biff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he comes in and
he's just a loser.
Got no money. That's really funny.
Christ. So we cut from there back to Doran, still laying out his story to Penny with no audio, just music. It's just them speaking to each other. All the while, a creepy porcelain clown mocks the audience for having to watch this crap. The table, in the center of the table, there's this clown that's got his thumbs, like, when he does the thumbs in the ears, like waving the fingers at you, like, bah, thing. Yeah. Just at the camera, like, you have to watch this movie.
Damn clown.
After he wraps up his story, they almost share a kiss, and then Penny snaps out of it and says, "Oh, I have to go take a shower. You just make yourself at home." Cut back to Mandrak, and he's accosting some hooker in the bar. Then Wolf, not Wolf, it's not Wolf anymore. Guy
You can call him Jackal. I mean, I know who you
Goon
mean.
number 2.
Goon number 2 reminds Mandrak that this isn't the forest. You can't just rape and kill any women you want to. Leave that hooker alone. So
another thing Mandrak does is he orders the usual.
Yeah, the usual.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh man! Like at most he came in that bar 12 hours ago.
The usual. You mean the only other thing you've ever ordered?
I would have loved it if the barman was just like, I don't know you.
Who the fuck are you? That's it. Next time I go to a bar, I'm just walking up and I'm going to say, the usual, please. Just see what happens.
So, back at the apartment, Doran's watching explosions and crazy shit on TV. Penny comes out of the shower, and now her hair has turned into Listerine's hair. Mm-hmm. And so, then, of course, naturally, they bang. Bryce is trying to look up Mandrak on the computer, but he comes up short because, obviously he's not going to find Mandrak in the computer.
Did they have the internet by now? In 89?
Is he on the police database?
I think he's probably on a police database, but it wouldn't matter because if you put in Mandrak right now into a computer, it's still not going to show this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
So then we get some dimly lit sex scenes between Doran and Penny. Bryce is trying to call, but the line's busy, off the hook. Later, he shows Cogs. The news broadcast goes live, and they're watching it. And Cogs is like, I can't believe I let you talk me into putting this on the news. And he's like, well, it's fine. It's about time you grew a pair of balls and did something like this. And he says, hey, I'll have your ass in that sewer plant special for 4 weeks. Who's watching the sewer plant special for 4 weeks?
Hold on.
What kind of news is this?
Hold on. I can tell you who. I'm not going to go too deep because I know that's my problem. But right now, there's a whole issue in New Orleans with the Sewage and Water Board. And people tune in every night to see who else is getting fired and who else got caught. So, yes, you will watch. Somebody will cover that for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But I doubt Los Angeles is as corrupt as New Orleans, so maybe not. I don't know.
It's a sewer plant special for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That seems excessive.
We got that here. Just saying.
So Mandrak is also watching the broadcast at his favorite bar, his usual bar. And he sees Doran and decides to blow up the TV by flinging a shot glass through it. Doran and Penny are back at the apartment, pillow talking to each other about how they feel like they've known each other forever. The next day, at Mandrak's hideout in the warehouse. So it's Mandrak and his one goon, the Gladiators, that killed the warehouse manager and took over?
We can only assume.
It's not much of a gang.
No.
They said that it was a shootout, and they don't have guns yet.
No, I mean, I'm pretty confident that it's the three guys that attacked Penny before.
Yeah.
Are the Gladiators.
Okay.
Or at least some of the Gladiators.
So they discuss on how Doran got there and if he's come for revenge. And now Mandrak has this Return of the Jedi hand now, this black-gloved hand on his cut-off arm.
Right.
Then they decide to strike at Doran first by saying, hey, I've got an idea. We'll kill him first.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's such a good plan.
It's such a good plan that they said it 3 times.
Yeah. Hey.
We'll kill him first.
What if... wait a minute. What if I killed him first?
You mean before he kills us?
Wait. There's an option of us killing him first?
Well, why don't we do that?
Actually, let's target Penny first. Which is what they do.
Yeah.
They then meet up with Swank, who's going to sell them guns. And he's laying on the curly shtick heavy in this scene.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this guy's obnoxious.
He gives Mandrak a shotgun, and he gives Not Wolf a pistol. And he says he's going to charge him 4 bills for it. And then Mandrak shoots him with the shotgun, and they take his car too for his trouble. So they just single-handedly wiped out the Gladiator gang.
I feel like rule number 1 for selling criminals guns is don't give them loaded ones.
Right.
Well, Swank's new to this. So,
well, usually it's his brother Mo that's the brains of the operation, and he wasn't there.
He's not around. You need that 3-person dynamic to keep the operation running.
Exactly. See, he got killed right there with a shotgun, and then we're left with Shemp.
So they go to the news station. Inside, they question Cogs about Penny's whereabouts. He refuses to tell them. So Mandrak threatens Cogs' daughter. I don't know why that came. Like, you don't know him. You don't know where she is. What?
He'll just look him up on the computer.
She'll be in there.
Yeah.
Everybody's in there.
So Bryce hears a gunshot from the other room, and he gets his gun out of his desk. Random cut to Doran and Penny sleeping. Cut back to Cogs bleeding out on his desk when Bryce finds him. And before he dies, he tells him that they're after Penny. You have to get Penny. So back at Penny's, Mandrak and Not Wolf arrive instantaneously. Doran spots him from the window and suits up into his barbarian gear, which seemed unnecessary.
Oh my god. Yeah, he had to tie his little tassels back on his arms.
Yeah,
and
I was about to say, it also took a little longer than I was wanting it to.
Yeah. And they played that music from the opening credits again while it was doing it. That's his theme. That's the Doran theme. Bryce races to the apartment. Mandrak enters. Doran gets the jump on him and slaps him with his own severed hand.
Well, this was the second part that I actually laughed out loud at, was when they first walk in.
Yeah.
And then Doran just kind of... He's just been crouching in the kitchen for a few minutes.
He's hiding in the breakfast nook.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So he slaps him with his own severed hand. Mandrak tells him that he doesn't have the amulet on him and that it's hidden. Not Wolf shoots Doran in the arm while he's distracted. They take Penny hostage, and Doran summons his magic sword. Mandrak takes Penny out and leaves Not Wolf to deal with Doran. And he opens fire at him, and Doran manages to deflect all the bullets with his magic sword. Bryce still trying to get there in time. Wolf then runs out and gets to the roof somehow. Doran follows him, searches around on the roof for a really long time. Wolf then throws his jacket over Doran, blinding and disabling him. And attacks him with a big, oversized pipe. Doran overpowers him, demands to know where their hideout is, and then accidentally kills him before he can tell him. Oops.
God.
So Mandrak has Penny back at the warehouse, and he's stringing her up, and Penny just keeps getting in this situation. Yeah. Penny, Listerine, whoever she is.
I was just like, not again.
Yes, again.
But he knocks her out and hoists her up on the rope. Bryce finally arrives at the apartment and comes in, and Doran's just like sitting on the cutting board on the kitchen counter. And he's got Not Wolf in there just laying dead on the table. And he's like, "Oh, what are you going to do with him? He has to tell me where Mandrak is. I think he's dead. He goes, he'll die when I give him permission to die. Oh, he died.
Yeah.
He's been dead for like 20 minutes.
No, you don't understand. I have this crotch crystal that does what I tell it to do. No, he's dead. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's dead.
that thing doesn't work, Doran.
Yeah. So Bryce insists on going with Doran to find Mandrak, and he's got an idea of where to find him. Cut back to the bar. Bryce goes in, asks the bartender about Mandrak. He gets a lot of flack from the bartender. Then the hooker from earlier comes by and tells Bryce that she knows Mandrak and knows where to find him, but it's going to cost him. Back at the warehouse, Mandrak tells Penny that she reminds him of someone and that, maybe you could make me a movie star.
That's his new plan.
That's his new plan. And then he
also,
reveals...
How can he say you remind me of someone? She looks just like the chick you raped 18 hours ago.
Can't quite put my finger on it.
Right.
It's at this point that Mandrak reveals that he has a robot hand now.
It looks so ridiculous. It looks like he got his hand caught in like a steel stamping. Like it still has like the flashing around it and everything.
Well, it can't move. It doesn't do anything. So in the half a day that they've been here, they've gotten civilian clothes, learned civilian lifestyles of the 90s, got a smoking habit, become regulars at a bar.
They got out to see the Batman movie that just came out.
Yeah.
They got a robot hand. They earned money and then blew through it all. They've been busy.
Yeah. They ain't sitting around.
That hustle, man. They got to get on that hustle right away.
That's it.
So Bryce and Doran sneak into the warehouse. Bryce draws his pistol as Mandrak watches from behind them. He throws on the lights, and he's got a Tommy gun now. I guess Swank had a Tommy gun in there, too.
Well, he said he had a bunch of guns in the trunk.
Yeah. So he's got the machine gun aimed at Doran and Bryce. Bryce's gun is empty, of course. He just clicks away as he tries to shoot Mandrak.
Well, this is like the one attempt at humor in the entire movie. Where he's like, I knew I forgot something.
Yeah.
Mandrak opens fire on Doran, and he expertly blocks all the automatic machine gun fire with his sword. Mandrak flees, and he frees Penny. Penny tells Bryce to go, just get out of here, because you're worthless.
Yeah.
Doran follows Mandrak deep into the bowels of the warehouse where he attacks him with a sword. They both disarm each other and start fighting bare hand. Bryce decides to try to help out, but he gets an inflexible robot hand to the jaw for his trouble. Mandrak tells Doran that the amulet is dead and lifeless, just like Listerine. And Doran exclaims, "Your life will end by my sword!" And he starts chopping up Mandrak in a really unsatisfying way for the final battle of the movie.
Very unsatisfying.
It's like little paper cuts.
He's got essentially a claymore, and he's putting like tiny little cuts on his cheek.
Yeah.
This here battle axe.
So Mandrak reveals that the amulet to him and tells him that there's no way back. It doesn't work. Doran strikes Mandrak down and retrieves the amulet, which then lights up and starts working for no reason at all.
I think
the wizard said that as long as it was close by him, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It didn't work in the hands of evil or some junk.
Right.
So did she tell him that it... Okay. So are we to believe that the amulet works exclusively for Doran and he goes and gives it to his woman, which he knows it's not going to work for, and she winds up getting raped and murdered for her trouble?
No, it only works for Doran, and it works temporarily for people that Doran has sex with, apparently.
God. I don't like this amulet.
Neither does anybody else. All it does is bring pain to people.
So later, Doran,
the wizard was just trying to get rid of it. She was like,
this thing's gotten me raped like 6 times this month. I gotta get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
So later, Doran and Penny and Bryce are all outside the warehouse, and Doran's wondering if all hope is lost for mankind. What? And then Penny says, "Oh, we'll make sure that hope stays right where it belongs, in our hearts." What?
What?
Doran proclaims his love for her by giving her one of his sweaty armbands. And
that was like the least... The thing he couldn't care less about.
Yeah.
One of his armbands.
Here's a rotten old leather strap that's been in my pit for the last century.
Oh, man.
He starts wandering down the train tracks and disappears in a flash of light. Penny turns to Bryce and tells him to roll the camera. And she gives a speech about the city being cured of one more malignancy and that they're left with just the memory of a man who some would consider a king. Roll the goddamn credits. Finally.
Whoo, man.
That movie was exactly as boring as it sounds.
Yes.
Actually, it's way more boring because you don't have us to punch it up if you're just watching.
That's true.
Christ.
Jesus.
I gotta say, yeah, like John said, there wasn't many laugh out loud parts of this movie.
Which I figured there would be more. Like, I really thought this was going to be a fun one.
It stars Malibu of American Gladiators.
Yeah. Well, there's another rule change.
That used to mean something.
Rule change coming. No more movies with gladiators in it.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. You know what just hit me? The name of the gang was the Gladiators, and Malibu is an American Gladiator.
Ah. There you go. That's why that's in there.
Yeah.
That's why that was in there.
You know what else? They also mentioned, they actually say the name Conan.
Yeah, they do.
Movie. You remember that? So Conan
Bryce calls him Conan, yeah.
So I think they were trying to make some kind of weird thread where, like, Doran was going to be an inspiration to the people of the city to, like, fight back against all the crime or whatever. That's what I think all that bullshit at the end was about.
I gotta tell you, there wasn't many people in LA to be inspired.
There's no people. There's like 6 people.
Every street was empty.
Yeah, one of the most bustling cities in the country, devoid of life.
Yeah. Well, the new Mandrak was out on the streets. This dark, mysterious guy showed up on the scene 5 hours ago. Better not go outside.
Ay. All right, so there's movie 1 of season 3 in the can.
Yeah.
Now I gotta explain. We're doing season 3 a little differently this time.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be doing, instead of the quiz at the end where we would do 5 questions to see who would pick the next movie, we're going to do an exam at the end of the season where we've really forgotten these movies.
Yeah.
And challenge ourselves in that way. However, we still will be doing 2 questions an episode as bonus questions. But the catch is, these questions can be as difficult as you please. These are all going to be Blake questions across the board.
Yes.
So don't look for us to get a lot of these. These are going to be super challenging.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's move on to the bonus round.
All right. My 2 extremely hard questions.
All right.
Question number 1. How many awards did Cogs have on his desk?
Oh, shit. I'll throw out a guess on that one.
Yeah. And question number 2 is, what newspaper was for sale outside of the news studio?
Shit.
Holy
there was a newspaper for sale.
Yes, there was. Everybody got their answers?
Yeah.
All right, so question number 1. How many awards did Cogs have on his desk?
I said 2.
John?
I said 3.
It was actually 2.
What?
Oh my god.
Yeah, there was a little trophy and another little cup thing. Yeah.
I'm ahead by a point already.
Yeah. And what newspaper was for sale outside of the news studio?
The LA Times.
Wrong.
I also guessed the LA Times.
Wrong. It was USA Today.
Ah.
Well,
Hey,
Chase got one
I'll
bonus
take
point.
it.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
take a
nice.
point.
That's crazy.
That's a good start. Nice.
Yeah.
Well-
the other question I had was how much fuel was left in Bryce's car?
Quarter of a tank.
Because they showed his dashboard for like a split second.
Yeah. I was looking at the speedometer. I didn't catch the
Well, I
fuel
couldn't-
gauge.
The mileage wasn't clear enough, but he was actually on E.
Oh. That's why he had trouble getting there.
So yeah, there you go.
All right.
All right.
So now we move on to Coming Attractions. What's this? That's right. We're going to do Coming Attractions at the end of the episodes since we're not going to be doing, since the quiz isn't determining who's next. We're just going round robin style. So we're going in the order of the winnings of last season. Blake, John, me. So John is up next. So he gets to pick what our next movie is.
I am so excited about this change because like I'll actually get to get my movies watched.
I think I know which one you're picking.
Well, allegedly, because let's not forget that the Excalibur is still out there.
Yeah, Blake still has Excalibur, although John, I think you're safe because I am willing to put money on the fact he's going to use that on me.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I picked the stinker, so it might be worth bringing it out on. I don't know. So I got something that Chase came across last season, but chose not to pick.
Oh, another me pick? I don't know. I mean, I picked Time Bandits, Time Barbarians, and look what happened.
Yeah, well, no, this is one that you decided against presenting at all.
Oh, okay.
It's called Fungicide.
Oh, sweet. Jesus, no.
Yes, sir.
Blake, this is barely a movie. This makes Swamp Ape look like Citizen Kane. Like you don't even know.
Hey, Swamp Ape was a fantastic episode, so.
Oh my god, we're gonna watch Fungicide.
It's Fungicide. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. Directed by Dave Wascavage. Director
is that the guy that runs Scientology?
I think is that Sincavage?
It's Miscavige.
Well.
Director of such classics as Suburban Sasquatch.
Oh god, he did a Bigfoot movie.
And Zombies by Design. The tagline is, "You don't pick them, they pick you." In Soviet Russia.
Mushroom picks you.
Now, I've got conflicting information from IMDb and Amazon.
Of course you do.
IMDb says it's 84 minutes, and that it came out in 2002. Amazon says it's an hour and 37 minutes.
Fuck you.
It came out in 2009. So, I guess we'll see. It's got 2 stars on Amazon, 3.4 on IMDb. There's not a lot really to find out about this movie. I mean,
how could there be?
Yeah, but even the most basic information is questionable. according to IMDb, it has an estimated budget of $140.
Oh,
just
God.
somehow like the funniest possible number for a budget it could have.
Well, that's definitely our lowest budget we've seen.
Yes.
I can't imagine that's true. But
So that's the new spectrum. 140 is our low, and 90 million is our high.
The synopsis, pretty brief. What happens when a crazed scientist gets a forced weekend away at a bed and breakfast? Mushrooms and mayhem. Death stalks the shocked guests as mushrooms of all shapes and sizes run rampant through the woods. That's
okay.
it.
The trailer to this has mushroom people sword fighting with regular people. I'm just going to say that.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
And when I say a mushroom person, I mean they have like a garbage can lid on their head and a sheet hanging from it to look like a stalk.
And then just
Nice.
people arms.
Yeah, just people arms coming out of it with like kendo swords and shit.
Dude, I'm so excited for this.
Why does movie number 2 always have to be something like this?
This is true.
This is going to be a top episode, bro, I'm telling you. A couple of reviews. This is why you should have to pass some sort of minimum IQ test before being allowed to own a camera. This review I love. This movie, it has everything. Horrendous acting, stereotypes, Atari-level CGI, hand puppet monsters, and a cast where I'm sure everyone is related. If you hate yourself, truly hate yourself, watch this in its entirety.
Well, what do you know?
So, yeah, it's on Amazon.
Nice.
Fungicide.
You sure you don't want to pick that Neil Breen movie I know you've been wanting to watch?
I'm saving it.
I'm kind of excited about this one.
It's going to be good, Chase, for sure.
Yeah, of course. From the picker of Swamp Ape comes excitement about this movie.
Well, yeah. Look, we need something to laugh at after fucking Time Barbarians.
Oh,
Yeah, this will be at least funny.
Yeah, there's no way we can't laugh at this.
That's probably true. It's not going to hurt any less, though.
Yeah, true. Well, hopefully it's 84 minutes.
Yeah, hopefully it's 84 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if it was an hour and
Jesus.
37.
Breaks an hour and a half. That's asking a lot.
Yeah. How do you stretch $140 that far?
So basically $1 a minute.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah. Well, at least I got a point.
Yeah, you got a point.
That's the silver lining right now. I can only imagine what we're going to have to pay attention to in Fungicide.
Yeah. What type of mushroom had the samurai sword? Son of a bitch. Shiitake.
Oh, Lord. All right. Well, that's that. It's been decided we're watching Fungicide next, and there's not a damn thing anyone can do about it except for Blake.
Yep, and I'm not doing anything. Letting it ride.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I'd like to thank everybody that's been listening. You can find us on iTunes. You can subscribe to get all of our latest episodes the second they come out. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Garbage Theater. You can follow us on Twitter at @garbage_theater and on Instagram at @garbage_theater. If you'd like to suggest a movie to us to watch, we're open to suggestion. You can contact us on any of those social media channels, or you can email us directly at garbagetheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Any last words, anybody, before we close out episode 1, season 3?
Nope.
As we start season 3, I just want a little anecdote. I was watching Elves, and my wife came down and stopped by the TV for like 1 second, and she looked back at me and just said, "Life decisions."
Which is code for divorce is a brewing.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't respect what we're doing here, boys.
Nope.
Nobody does.
No,
I don't even respect myself.
Oh my god. And then we're just going to do it until one of us breaks.
Yeah.
And that's how this podcast will end.
It'll be me.
With one of us saying, I can't do this anymore.
I'll be the one that breaks. I've come so close so many times.
I'm sorry. I can't watch Ginger Dead Man 2 Passion of the Crust. I can't do it.
I just can't. One of us breaks or one of us dies, and then we'll just watch the next movie projected onto that person's casket.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, that's it, folks. The movie is Fungicide. We'll see you then.